So I gave up. Dumb, so dumb. And I'm gonna try really hard not to rant. Bitter ass bitch. Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about some friggin' books. First though, I have to show you the shirt that I bought. So there's an Instagram account. I don't know if it started on Instagram or Twitter. It's on both, probably TikTok too. I have no idea. I don't have TikTok. But it's Bodega Cats. And it's just an account that shows videos and pictures of bodega cats. And there's one that kind of went viral before, if you're like a crazy cat lady watching cat videos on the internet all the time, of this clearly like New York accented guy petting a little kitten, and it's the cutest thing ever. If I
takes a pet, like no problem.
Yeah.
Right? Not afraid at all. That's a great cat right there.
At any rate, it's so cute, and they sell merch, and they have a shirt that, I don't know if you can see the whole thing. It's like a comic strip of that video. Anyway, it's very comfy also. I have several books to talk about today, but there's a couple of DNFs. Two are both graphic novel volumes, and one I actually am not going to talk about because I did not realize until I was like, oh shit, I should check that this one book that I did talk about on Instagram, I posted a review of it when I read it on Instagram, but it is from an imprint of HarperCollins, so in my own personal effort not to cross the picket line, I'm not reviewing that book right now. It's one I enjoyed, but I'll just talk about it another time. The first one to talk about was indeed a DNF, and that was The Christmas Sisters by Sarah Morgan. I have been reading some kind of contemporary holiday rom-com type books this holiday season, and I've had a couple of wins. One that was very like, okay, whatever. And then this one, I don't know. It probably could have been a very cute, heartwarming little holiday kind of drama story. I only got 15% of the way into it. It's about these three sisters, and they're all going back home to Scotland. Well, one of them lives there still, but the other two had moved away, and they each are dealing with kind of their own shit and are just generally unsure of what path to take moving forward. And yeah, it was fine, but I found the characters, from what I read, they're kind of just stereotypes in my opinion. So I gave up. And I could kind of see where it was going. And it was one of those things where sometimes it's like you might see where it's going. I mean, and reading a romance, you know, there's gonna be a happy ending or a happy for now. Yeah, happy for now. But sometimes I just don't care. Sometimes I'm like, I see where it's going and I'm curious about how we get there. And other times I'm like, I see where we're going and I don't care how we got there. And that was the case for this. And then I did finish a book, like I said, that was, it's a HarperCollins imprint, so I shan't be talking about that. The next one, though, that I did finish, this was actually, I just recently did the, like, series to start in 2023 and also series to finish, and this was on both. This book is the start of the series, so I already started it. I didn't finish it yet. It's a duology, and I did not pick up the second book yet, and I won't until the beginning of the year, at least. But Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. I kind of just couldn't wait. I don't know. I just was feeling like I wanted a really solid fantasy read, and I suspected this would be because I suspected that Tasha Suri was going to end up being an author for me, and 'twas correct. Spoiler alert. I loved this. This is a Mughal, I'm not sure the pronunciation of that. I did not take the time to look, and that is my bad, but inspired Indian and Hindu fantasy world. It is categorized as adult. We are following a nobleman's daughter who has magic in her blood. She is mixed race, and this is an empire that is built on the dreams of enslaved gods. The Emrithi are outcasts in this world, and that is what our main character, Meher. When I was reading it just physically, I kept saying Mehr, because it's M-E-H-R, and I'm an idiot. But in the audiobook, they were saying Meher, so I think it's Meher. Also, the audiobook narrator is the narrator that I do not love. But the sad-sounding, like, morose tone wasn't quite as egregious in this audiobook as it was in others. I only actually read, though, the like middle portion of it on audio, and then I started reading it physically again, hence all my little tabs. But yeah, anyways, the Emrithi are outcasts. They are nomadic tribes that are descended from desert spirits, or Deva. And they are coveted and persecuted throughout the Amban Empire due to the power/magic in their blood. And our main character, Meher, is Amban and Emrithi. She's the illegitimate daughter of an imperial governor, an Amban governor, and an exiled Emrithi mother that she can barely remember, but whose face and magic she has inherited. When Meher's power comes to the attention of the Emperor's most feared mystics, she must use every ounce of will, subtlety, and power that she possesses to resist their cruel agenda. Should she fail, the gods themselves may awaken seeking vengeance. So I loved Meher and Amun, a character that we see later, not that much later, but like into the book. And I also thought the side characters were well developed and interesting and intriguing. I enjoyed them. The world building, great. I mean, it was stunning. I could really see everything. It was very vivid. Tasha Suri's writing style is just, as I've said before, efficiently descriptive, like beautiful prose, but not like flowery prose, and not overly tediously descriptive, but like still descriptive, you know? I don't know, it's like a great balance for me. And yeah, this has solidified Tasha Suri as an auto-buy author for me. I love the Burning Kingdoms series so far, Jasmine Throne, Oleander Sword, which is adult, very high fantasy, political fantasy. And then I also loved What Souls Are Made Of, which is a young adult remix, reimagining of Wuthering Heights. And then I loved this as well. And I just her writing, oh God, it's so good. So good. Like, her books are so underrated, I feel, and I don't understand why. Just subtly lyrical prose, heart-wrenching sentences sometimes. My God. Yeah, just so many lines where I'm like, oh my God. Oh, it's so beautiful. The pacing for me in the middle was a little bit slow, hence I picked up the audiobook because I was just, it's not like I was dreading picking it up, but every time I picked it up, I just was struggling to like get really going, you know? And then I picked up the audiobook and I listened to it for a little bit, and then I got gripped by it, and then I grabbed physical copy again and finished it in physical. So I only read like maybe 20% on audio because of that. I wouldn't say it was like a slog in the middle by any means. It just was, the pacing was a little bit slower there. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Because of the little bit of pacing issue for me personally in the middle, I was like, I can't quite give it a 5, I don't think. Maybe I'll change my rating later, but for now, I'm giving it a 4.75, which if I were to, you know, be forced to pick a star rating that wasn't quarter stars, I would round up to 5. Love, love, love. My God. Next, I read The Holiday Trap by Roan Parrish, which I think I saw Bethany talk about this initially and liken it to the movie The Holiday. It's kind of like a take on that, or like a reimagining of that, or inspired by that, or whatever, which is one of my favorite holiday movies. I love it. I just rewatched it the other day after reading this book, so I was like, well, I need that now. And that's what I had said that I wanted with these books I was picking up. And I asked for like recommendations in a video before, and I was saying like vibes of either like, you know, kind of cheesy Hallmark, dramatic, heartwarming stuff, or like the holiday-esque rom-com. And this was exactly that. We're following two main characters, Truman and Greta. And Truman lives in New Orleans. He is a gay man that lives in New Orleans with his dog. And Greta is a lesbian that lives in a little island off the coast of Maine with her large family. They both have a friend named Ramona in common. They don't know each other. And when Ramona receives text messages from both of them being like, I hate it here, get me the hell out, I'm dealing with a personal crisis, and I need a break from this. They have different personal things going on in their lives. Ramona sees an opportunity to kind of kill two birds with one stone, and she suggests to them that they house swap for the rest of the month, for a month right around the holidays. There is much self-reflection and personal growth that happens, and eventually both of them have really big things to confront to decide how they're going to move forward with their lives. What path they're going to take in life going forward. I really enjoyed both of our main characters, Truman and Greta. Truman in particular got on my nerves for a hot minute towards the end, just due to like, why are you interpreting this way? Kind of a momentary third act breakup type of thing, but it was very short-lived, which I appreciated. But it wasn't even anything drastically annoying or anything like that. The side characters were also fun and engaging. Ramona is a fucking hoot. Every time she was there, I loved her. Oh my God. She was kind of just like in the background doing, you know, with her little puppet strings, but then she would be there a few times. She lived in New Orleans also, so when Greta was in New Orleans, like she came around a bit, and yeah, just so funny. And I also loved all the little nods to The Holiday, the movie. Like when Truman first gets to Maine and immediately goes to the little local market. And it's very much like Cameron Diaz's character going to England, and it's like this little village, and that's this little island. It's like a very small little thing. So Truman goes to the local market and just gets like cheese and wine and gets hammered the first night, like Cameron Diaz's character does. And then Greta in New Orleans, much like Kate Winslet's character who goes to LA, befriends a local elderly person who is just full of life and spirit, and they kind of learn things from each other and appreciate each other and admire each other and have like a nice little friendship that gets built up. Loved that as well, that little nod. And just all the conversations about self-reflection and personal growth, acknowledging kind of the bullshit that you've been tolerating in your life, and also acknowledging your own bullshit. Being like, wow, I do that, don't I? Yep, I sure do. I really loved all of those conversations. And I felt like it was executed really well. And I also really liked in this that both of them, it's, you know, rom-com, there's romance, it's a romance. And there's budding romance happening between both of these characters. But I liked that the choices they were making, or even the choices they were contemplating making, kind of like big life changes, like obviously it was a little bit, what am I trying to say? There's a word. Informed. Like those choices they were thinking about making, they were taking into account this budding romance, but the budding romance was not the reason for them thinking about making these changes, if that makes sense. It was kind of just like a nice little bonus tacked on. Like they still would have been thinking about these things and making different choices regardless of if there had been a romance happening for them or not. And it was very clear that that was the case, and I believed it. I believed that to be true. Like, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with a budding romance that also is very clearly going toward a healthy direction. Like, it's even in the early stages, it's a very healthy, communicative thing you have going here. It's okay for that to be part of your reason for choosing a certain life path, as long as it isn't the only reason, and certainly as long as this other person isn't like demanding you choose this life path, right? But when it's just kind of part of it, I think that's fine, and I think it was, again, executed well in the book. Content warnings, if anyone is sensitive to certain things. I mean, like I said, toxic family dynamics. Again, not like abuse, but guilt tripping for sure. Like a lot of that, a lot of guilt tripping and like that kind of emotional manipulation tactics, you know, not being purposely done, but just that's the habit these people were in with each other. Some infidelity not perpetrated by our characters, like by our main characters, and it's like just briefly, it's a part of the story, but again, it's not perpetrated by our characters. It's done to one of them at the beginning. Dementia, for sure. There's a parent figure in the book who has dementia on early onset, like Alzheimer's happening, and so if you're sensitive to that or have experienced that with a parent, just be aware. And very minor, like homophobia. There's a few just like brief conversations about that. So yeah, this was a delight. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars. Just a fun time. This is one that I read on ebook, and I plan on purchasing a physical copy to reread as my list of holiday rereads every year. The next two I'll just kind of talk about together. I don't have that much to say about either, and I'm certainly not going to hold them up the whole time. Forgive me. But I picked up Lore Olympus finally. I had read like the first couple episodes on Webtoons like years ago. But then I heard, like, as I had started to, I saw that like they were gonna publish it in physical form, so I stopped because I was like, let me just wait, because I was not loving reading it like digitally. So yeah, I bought these, and I think it's really fun. It's a fun time. I mean, it's, you know, Olympus. It's like Greek gods and stuff. But like they still have like the mortal realm and like the gods, and they're very similar to their characters like in the classic, you know, Greek mythology, but in like modernized settings. It's centering like Persephone and Hades, clearly from the cover. That's who those people are. And yeah, it was a fun time. Like I said, I don't have that much to say about it because I don't know. They're cute. They're kind of light, but then also there are some serious things that happen. Content warning for sexual assault, for the R word happens. And it's not, I don't want to spoil anything. It happens. It's kind of like a coerced thing, though. A very much like coercion, but like also this person was, to anyone normal, very clearly not into it and saying no, and like, hey, can we not? But like, okay, maybe, I guess maybe I want it, like that kind of thing. So just be aware that that is a thing. And obviously there's visuals, nothing graphic or anything, but it can be an intense thing if you're sensitive to that, obviously. But yeah, I liked it. I gave both of those volumes 3.75 stars. It was like fun, and then kind of serious stuff, and then fun again. And I do like the characters. Nothing like that I'm like, oh my god, I love it so much. I love the artwork. I think it's really cute and like nice. I like it. And yeah, I plan on continuing to purchase these nice little hardcovers. And the Barnes & Noble ones, that's the one I've gotten, are the, I think at least, is this one the Barnes & Noble exclusive? This one might not be. The second one is though. Anyway, yeah, enjoyed. Yay. Next is another DNF, and I'm going to try really hard not to rant. I also don't feel that bad about ranting because I learned afterward. I did not realize that this was the author. The book is The Plight Before Christmas by Kate Stewart. And I don't know all the details about the situation, and I don't know if it's like one of those situations that like has some nuance to like look at or whatever, but she was in hot water earlier this year, I learned. And I remember seeing this. I just didn't remember that this was the author because that's how my brain works and my memory works, or doesn't. But yeah, she was in hot water because she's the author that wrote a book. She's white, and she wrote this book that I don't know if the main character, I think the main character might have been Mexican. A character was Mexican. And another character used a racial slur for Mexican folks at another character, and I don't know the context, whatever, but apparently when the author was getting kind of called out for this and people being like, perhaps don't, was a bit defensive and argumentative in response, and like apologized, but then was just kind of quickly blocking anyone who said anything negative or critical. I don't really know. I don't know what the end result was. I'm sure there's various people who have different feelings on it and like, well, no, it wasn't that bad, and oh my god, it was terrible. Whatever. I don't even care. But at any rate, it sounds like maybe not the most humble, willing to learn person. And also something in this book, from the part that I read, I'm like, that checks out. Because, yeah, I DNF'd at 13%. I kind of wanted to DNF like at 3% right off the bat. These are my notes that I wrote on Storygraph. I shared this on Instagram because I was like, if y'all are curious why I fucking hated what I read so much, check out my Storygraph explanation. So yeah, just bitching and moaning. This character is just the most bitter ass bitch. From the get-go, she's like, Christmas sucks, I hate it. Clark Griswold had the right idea. Fa-la-la-la, FML. Like, that was the vibe. And if you find that amusing and funny, good for you. That's wonderful. I do not. I found it, like, tedious and boring. Like, shut up. Oh, my God. And then some quotes I have are her referring to her uterus as a prehistoric uterus, okay? And then talking about coworkers and these like new guys, and they were early 30s recruits, the best looking guys in the company right now. Just like really like focusing on that they're in their early 30s, these young guys. She was referring to herself having a midlife crisis, okay? And then she sees her mom and is talking about how her mom looks so good for being like 61 or whatever the fuck. And another quote is, so anyway, I was gonna say, I was like sitting here like, how old is she? How old is this character? Like, and I'm like, based on all this, like her prehistoric uterus really being like all these guys in their early 30s, and then like my midlife crisis, I'm like, oh, she's probably like in her 40s, mid to late 40s maybe, like maybe she's like pushing 50. Then she says, it takes every bit of my toolbox to make me look presentable. At 38, I can still pull off a hat trick or two, which, do we know what a hat trick is? Anyway, though my sun-kissed dewy days are mostly behind me. And I put 38? I was fully expecting her to be pushing 50. Like, that's 2 years older than me. And like, you know, I joke around about like, oh, being old or whatever. But like, really, 36 and 38 are not old. Like, yeah, you're getting up into middle age, you're pushing middle age, but like, I mean, I guess depending on when you die, maybe you are middle aged. Could be at 20 though. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, oh my God. And I do obviously understand that pushing 40 as a woman, as a person who has a uterus, it does get like dicier to like want to get pregnant, right? For some women, 36, 38, like it's too late then. But there are plenty of women who have babies into their 40s who don't hit menopause, you know what I mean, until well into their 40s or 50s, right? It just depends on the person. And I get saying that, like, you have to be a little more careful, or it can be more difficult if you're 38 years old, like, to get pregnant and have kids and go through labor, but it's not, like, impossible. And, like, I don't think your uterus should be considered prehistoric at that point, but, like, whatever. Anyway. And the hat trick thing really annoys me too. I can pull off a hat trick or two. I'm like, you can pull off a trick or two? Like, that's not what a hat trick is in hockey, getting the 3 goals or whatever in a game. Like, what the fuck? Just say a trick or two. Like, the hat, just, that's dumb. But that was just sticking in my brain too. So she's mad. The whole thing is this character's all pissy because she didn't get this promotion, which I understand. She didn't get this promotion, right? But then, okay, she's all mad because this man got the job. And she's like, oh, boys club, whatever. Her boss is like an older guy, like kind of a boomer. And he's always like taking this other guy to like long lunches and going golfing and whatever. She's not getting that same interaction with him. I understand that, right? That is bullshit. I get that. But then she's talking about how she worked so much harder. She worked all these long ass hours. But it sounds like no one made her work these long hours. Like, she just chose to work these long-ass hours, fully expecting, oh, I'll work these long hours and I'll get the promotion. Which I get, like, yeah, sure, checks out. But she's, like, bitching about how she worked all these long hours and that guy didn't. He did it. He would leave at 6 o'clock every day, like, ugh, like, talking shit about him. But then the reasons that he leaves every day, at like, he's out, is that he has a wife who's like a fucking surgeon or some shit, like some like higher up job, demanding job, that he has to be home to like be a good partner for his wife to help care for the children and be there in the evenings with his family, with his children, so his wife can go do her work too. And he's like a youth pastor and he volunteers at a soup kitchen or some shit. But she's like saying all of this negatively, like, oh, well, he's doing all this while I'm here working. I'm like, girl, that was your choice. Like, you chose to do that. Like, and I get the boys club thing, that's probably valid, and I'm sure, you know, that would have played a part, and that is bullshit. But, like, don't go talk shit about this guy leaving work every day at the time he's scheduled to leave for very valid reasons. And then being all like, well, I was here. Like, no one made you. Like, anyway, whatever. But anyway, then she also broke her toe, and she's all pissed about that. But then she also is like, well, that was like 3 weeks ago, and it's like mostly healed, I guess. But still, And I'm like, no, get over it. Like, it's not broken anymore. That is, like, annoying that happened. But also, it was a toe. A broken toe is not, I don't know, like, do you even have to do anything when you have a broken toe? Like, do you have to go to the doctor and get a cast on your toe? Or do you just let it heal? I feel like you just let it heal, but even if you do have to go do something, it's not quite the same as, like, if you broke your arm or your leg or some shit where you gotta, like, it impedes your daily existence, you know? And not that like, if I broke my toe, sure, I'd be like, man, this fucking sucks. But, like, she's acting like, oh, God, my broken toe also is bullshit. I'm like, calm down. Like, I don't know, can you not laugh about it now? Like, just be like, oh, that fucking, remember when I broke my fucking toe? Whatever. Anyway, all this, she's bitching, Marianne. I'm just kind of, like, already, like, rolling my eyes a bit. Then she bitches about her car. It's on its last legs. Oh my God. I was waiting to get this promotion before, like, buying a new one. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, thinking, oh, her car, because she only knew about this promotion for, like, a few weeks. She was told, like, hey, you're up for it. And then she was like, oh, yeah. In these few weeks, I'm thinking, oh, her car must have started having trouble. No, she literally says, in the book, she says, well, I have needed to buy a new car for years. It's been having problem for literal years. And I have the salary where I could have. She literally says that she put it off for some inexplicable reason. But now she's bitching about it because the car on her way to her parents breaks down, like, as she pulls in the driveway. And she's like, oh, just another thing. And I cannot with the self-sabotage. Like, I get that bullshit happens in life, and it does suck when, like, bullshit after bullshit. But this sounds to me like the type of person that makes me crazy. I have friends who do this stuff. I have one friend in particular. If she ever would watch this, she'll know that I'm talking about her without even saying her name, because I tell her to her face, like, you are creating problems for yourself, procrastinating stuff, and then being like, oh, I'm so busy, I have all these things to do, I'm stressed. But it's like, you've known about these things for like 6 months, you could have been doing them, but you just waited to do all of them in the 3-day period, and then you're like, oh, stress. Like, do you just like the drama of being stressed? You know what I mean? And that's what this character was coming off to me. I was just like, you don't get to bitch about the car that you've known you needed to replace for literal fucking years and you could financially replace. I don't think, like, because she has, like, her family members being like, oh God, it's just when it rains it pours, like, oh, and your car broke down. I'd be like, sis, because her sister is saying this to her, I'd be like, hey sis, you should have fixed it years ago. You should have got a new car before. Like, this is not a real problem. Or it is a problem, but it's a self-inflicted problem. And I fucking can't, right? Oh, and then also she's bitching about how she, like, bought all these expensive things. She bought, like, some expensive shoes and all this shit because she was expecting to get the promotion. But now she didn't, and so she has to return this stuff. Again, self-inflicted problem. Don't feel that fucking bad for you. I can't. And then she's talking about her nieces and nephews all being in, they're all, like, the whole family's at this cabin or whatever. And she's talking about her nieces and nephews being around for days on end. And she said, there's nowhere to hide, and I'm used to a more uneventful and calm state of domestic existence. In that sense, I'm a true old maid. Why? Why are you an old maid just because you don't have kids making noise in your house? What? That doesn't make any sense to me. And, like, not even from, like, I'm offended as a fellow woman who doesn't have kids. I don't want kids, but, like, not even from, like, an offensive point of view. It just is stupid, logically. If she had said, like, oh, she likes her calm state of domestic existence while she knits wool caps by the fire with her 18 cats sitting around her and goes to, like, I don't know, fucking bake pies with the old ladies at church, that is, like, you're being an old maid, right? Like, those are hobbies or activities that would make me think, sure, you can call yourself, like, a little old maid. But literally just not having children in your house. Why? What? This is not old maid behavior. I can't. It's so stupid. Dumb. So dumb. And then her sister is married and has this, like, wonderful husband. And this whole time, too, I'm like, I think I didn't even know the author. I'm like, I went and looked. I'm like, okay, the author is white. I'm pretty sure these characters are white. And then it says the sisters both have blonde hair, right? But then the husband, his name is Thatch. Okay, and I was like, I don't quite know. It hasn't been explained or described yet if he is also white. the sister talking about having kids, quote, saying, when Thatch got all thug love on me the first time we had sex and said, you're gonna have my baby. He's white also, okay? Not that if he was a person of color, that would be better for his white wife to say in regards to him. Like, just weird. Immediately I was like, is this a reference to, like, to something? What the, like, he got all thug love on you? And also, him saying that the first time they had sex, saying, you're gonna have my baby someday or whatever. What is thuggish about that? Like, what is this weird thought you have in your head, Miss Stewart, Mrs. Stewart, I have no idea, Kate Stewart, like what in your head is making you think, yeah, I'm gonna write that this is thug love-ish of him? What? And don't say that? Don't have your white character say that about another white character too? About anybody. Again, it wouldn't be better if he wasn't white. It'd probably be worse. But like, it's just weird. It was weird. It rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, am I missing something here? I don't feel I'm uncomfy. I'm uncomfy. So then, like I said, learning what I learned about the hot water that the author was in before, I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, I'm seeing a pattern here. Seeing a pattern. But yeah, I just can't. I just was, no. Like, 13%. And this is how, like, fucking, oh God, I was so annoyed. So yeah, I quit. Not the book for me. And, you know, if you read that book and you love it and I'm hurting your feelings, you know, I'm sorry, but this is how I felt. Man. Could not do it. That's all I'm going to talk about for now. I've rambled so long in this fucking video. I'm so sorry. Jesus. Editing is going to be super fun. Of course, like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined and you have not already. You can just leave a little emoji if you want to say hey and let me know you're watching. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.